All right. Can you hear me now, sir? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Except the background noise is a bit
Oh,
too much.
yeah. Yeah, so I've reduced the noise now. All right, so welcome, Pastor Femi Abati. Good afternoon, and nice having you in the studio.
Thank you.
Great to
Thank you.
have you. Long time. Nice having you. So,
Thank you.
yeah, since it's an awesome day here, it's a beautiful Sunday, October the
Thank you.
16th. And quickly, it's going to be a short conversation, like a gist, right? So I want us to have a conversation, and I believe we'll be able to do some justice to what we want to discuss. So, but let me give you a bit of a background, right?
Okay.
Especially for our viewers that will be joining us to watch this video later. They want to know exactly why we are having this conversation and what is the background behind this
Okay.
conversation. So, first of all, this is Tribearc Nation. And Tribearc Nation is just a group of people that have come together to commit themselves to transforming Nigeria in the next 30 years into a first world nation, right?
Hmm.
So they have come together to believe that they have a responsibility to transform this nation, and they're going to do everything in their power to see that come to fruition or to reality. So they are investing their time, their resource, and their talent to this cause. So they are going to be doing this by investing in different infrastructure, in businesses, and ensuring that they are not waiting for the government. They are not waiting for prayers. They are not waiting for wishes. We have waited for 62 years and we have not seen any transformation. So it's time for citizens to stand up, wake up, and stop dreaming and fasting and praying for the nation anymore. So Tribearc Nation is just a group of people that are going to, take on the lead. A lot of people will join them as they realize that this is possible, but they're taking on the lead, first of all, to say this is possible. You don't have to wait for your government to build a university that works. You don't have to wait for your government to build hospitals that work. You don't have to wait for the government to build schools that work, and all of that. So that's the background for Tribearc Nation. And we have a lot of members, and they will be joining to watch this video live, and many more will watch in the future as we share across the platforms. So today is the maiden edition. So we want to start, like I said, this is the background of Tribearc Nation, and we want to start having conversations, constructive conversations, something like the platform, right? The platform organized by the Covenant Christian Center has been a remarkable platform that has been able to stimulate our minds concerning, political mindset, business mindset, individual responsibility, and all of that over the years. We celebrated 15 years of anniversary this year. But what I wanted us to do, what idea we had concerning the Design the Future show is that we want to have a platform like this where we can bring in thoughtful minds, thoughtful minds like yourself or seasoned professionals, where we can together design the future of Nigeria, where we can together design. So no, this is not just talk now. This is not just people just go on shows and talk. No, this is, can we come up with a real plan that can be executed after this show, like a step-by-step plan that can say, okay, this is what we can do on Monday, tomorrow morning, on Monday morning. We can take this plan that we've discussed here and we can go to the street and execute that plan, starting from tomorrow. So it's not, we are not waiting for anybody. We are not wishing for something else or someone else to help us do this. We want to design the plan together with our viewers, with our audience. They will contribute through the chat box, but we have a seasoned guest speaker in the studio who is going to help us come up with some of these strategies. And this is what we're going to be doing. So For example, we can say, why is it that we have only one terminal seaport or two terminal seaports in Nigeria? Why can't we build another terminal seaport in other states? Is it that it's expensive? Is it that there are no water boundaries across other states? Or is it that Lagos is just the only place you can have a seaport? Or why is it that we can't have, we're not creating as much as we are consuming? Why? So we're going to dig deep into issues, and we're going to develop strategic plans to at solving those problems, creative solutions to solving those problems. That's exactly the reason for Design the Future show. So it's a strategic planning session. Let me call it that way. It's like a boardroom management strategic meeting with seasoned minds like yours, where we can come up with strategic solutions that can be we can implement and take to market the very following day and start. And this is going to be big because I'm sure that in subsequent edition we're going to be able to talk to people from the consulting world, people from different spheres of life, and bring them to this studio to discuss really practical ways we can solve Nigerian issues and put our money behind it. That's why I'm saying these plans, our members have committed their resource to this. So any plan we come up with this, we're going to develop them into a real plan, and then we're going to put our money behind it to run it. So that's the goal. So today, I would like to have hear from you about yourself so that the viewers can know you. Just give us a bit of background about who Pastor Femi Abati is, your background, what you do, and so that they just get to know you before we then delve into the topic proper. So I'll just give you 1 or 2 minutes to tell us about. Let's meet you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
All right, thank you, Okwemi Manuel. Thank you for having me. Okay, I'm really excited to be here. My name is Femi Abati. I'm equally passionate about this nation, and what I do, my background is in the computer science, and I've delved into a lot of things though. But basically, 17 years ago, I started in nursery and primary school. And I think about 8 years ago, we started a secondary school too. And that has been very phenomenal. God has been really helping us. So basically, and I've done a couple of things. I've in time past had a professional training center for accounting students. What's it called? ACCA, Association of Certified Chartered Accountant. I am an associate member of CIBN. I'm an associate member of ICSAN. I have delved into a lot of professional programs, and well, I'm married, blessed with 4 kids, and I'm an associate pastor with White Olive Christian Assembly. What again? I think that's a little bit of my background.
All right, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Welcome, sir. Nice to have you on the show, and nice to meet you. Yes. So without wasting much time, like I said, we just want to discuss around achieving affordable and quality education. So, as a seasoned professional that you are, you are more like an educator or educationist now. You've run your secondary school and primary school for many years. And of course, the difficulty in getting capital, running the school, the cost attached, and all of that. So I'm going to start first before we even get into that part. Let's start first with what is quality education. Right? How do we really define quality education? So some people have different opinions, but let's hear from you. What is quality education?
All right, thank you. That's a very brilliant question. When I was looking at your what's it called, the theme or the title of today, talking about affordable and quality education. Let me leave affordable first. Let's talk about quality education. The word education actually itself is the ability to bring out what is latent inside any child. So quality education for me is that education, or is that ability to be able to bring out whatever it is that is in me. Now, for instance, every child has different, what do you call it? Different skill, different, not skill, different talent. So quality education in Nigerian settings, or from my perspective, okay, for instance, one of the reasons why I went into education, or where I decided to start a school, is that where the environment I found myself, there are a lot of young people who couldn't afford school. So, and I feel that I also I lived with parents who were not really rich. What is it really rich? We're poor. And then yes, that's the word. I was just trying to manage my words, because
Yeah.
like I said to you, a lot of times when I go to teach, preach everywhere. My father never owned an account till he died. I wasn't sent to the bank for everything. I feel my father had then was whether in his chest pocket or in his trousers, anywhere. So, and then I did very well growing up. I went to a public school, and I discovered that if a child can be given the kind of education I have, at least speak, be able to express yourself, the timidity, have that confidence. So I feel that for me is quality education. Now, let me summarize it by saying that education given to a child that will make that child, be able to express him or herself, and be able to become whatever it is inside of him. So the word education is actually from the Latin word educo, the ability to bring out what is latent, what is inside of you. So for instance, if you have 5-6 children come into my school, this one is a footballer, this one inside of him is a footballer, sorry, inside of this one is a musician, inside of this is a writer. So quality education is that environment that is able to bring out that expression from that child. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. But that will lead us to the next question. So you said quality education is the ability of any educational system now that is able to bring out the latent or potentials that is latent inside any student or any child. Ability to help him grow self-confidence, be able to express themselves, and then basically become the best of themselves or the best version of themselves. Yeah, that's true. That's fantastic. So if that is quality education, if that is really quality education, then why is it that we still have a lot of people, right, that leave our schools today? We still went, house yesterday, and then I have a friend, we went out evangelism together. She's an accountant, graduate, CPA certified, and she's working in a showroom for LG, selling TVs. And I don't know the backstory to how she got there, but I have a lot of people that are accountants, lawyers. I have a lawyer that works in my office in tech, as a project manager. He's not practicing law. So we have different people who are in different, 90% of people these days, especially in Nigeria of today, they've studied one thing and they are doing something else. Can we say they've actually gotten quality education?
Okay, thank you very much. And I want to quickly say here that in my definition of quality education, I didn't mention money. Did you get that? I didn't mention money at all. So, of course, quality education can be gotten through money and can be done without money. I remember growing up in my secondary school. I got the definition of education from my English teacher, that education is not only gotten in the four walls of school. So when you ask for quality education, I wasn't defining it as educational system. That was why I mentioned the word environment, because education can be gotten outside of the school. So I don't want us to limit it to running a school. It's a very thing for you to talk about school. What is the quality education in the school? But quality education, for instance, I mentioned that I went to a public school. I went to public primary school, public secondary school. And I remember getting to my secondary school in my GSS1. And I was in GSS1G. And we had GSS1M, N. Do you know what that means? And an average class then was about 70, 80. And it still exists
Wow.
till now. Yes, sir. I run a school somewhere in Ikeja. If you walk into the public school, maybe about 5 minutes walk away from my school, the average number in the class is 70, 80, 100. And
Wow.
the question we ask is, how will a teacher assess those children? You want to teach quadratic equation, for instance. How will you know that each child gets to understand these things? Now, back to your question. I'm just trying to, there might be questions you are not asking, but I want to quickly, So what am I trying to say in essence is, when you say this person studied education, or this person studied law, and he has ended up in the tech environment. Number one, I've said quality education is that thing that, that system that brings out the true thing that you are. Now, I want to say it again, that inside of us, there is a potential. Inside of us, there's an expression. So quality education is what brings out. Now, let me use this story of a lion and a lion that found himself in the midst of sheep. Now, oftentimes they go to the side of the river to get water, and there is a lion on the other side that roars at them, and all the sheep runs away, including the lion. So, but on this certain day, when this lion was, taking what, lapping water by the side of the water, he saw a reflection of itself, and he said, "I look like that thing that chases us away." The next time the lion comes to chase them away, of course, there's a story, whether it's a fiction, whether it's a reality, but bringing all my points. That particular time, the lion saw itself, and when the lion came again to chase them, it didn't go away. Now, that is education. Ability to see yourself from whatever anybody is expressing. That's, in fact, this word educo, I got it from Robert Kiyosaki. That education is the ability for any system to bring out what you have on your inside. So if I get, for instance, in Nigerian system, you will, for instance, you want to study medicine, and they tell you your cutoff is 240 and you have written JAM 4 times. They will say, do microbiology, do pharmacy. You will see that that person cannot truly be happy. If I had a good counsel, I did sciences in my secondary school, and I ended up doing computer science. But I've discovered that I am more of a talking person. If someone guided me well growing up, should have packaged me to the arts department. Maybe I study law, or study mass comm, or something that can enhance my speaking ability. I don't know if you understand, but you take me to an engineering class where I solve mathematics, I do a lot of biology. Now, the truth is this: some of us later now discover ourselves. So that, for me, is another education. So the person who studied law, but you find out that there's an expression inside of you, you must be able to attend to it. And that is where, of course, we're going to talk about it, where the power of self-discovery or self-education is. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I hope
All right.
I've
Yeah.
mentioned.
Yeah. So I want us to bring it home and bring it to schools, right? Because
Okay.
not everybody will be able to have that self-guidance, have self-discovery, right? So they can work on themselves, and then within the outside of the four of the school, they are able to maybe do some self-education, self-development, self-discovery, and then be able to get to a point where they can actually realize their full potential. Some people just end up get stuck in something else that they can find to be the next best thing available to them at any point in their life. And usually it's based on the rumors and the news around them. So tech is the next big thing. Everybody wants to learn coding now everywhere. Every child is, even though, yeah, we know tech is the future and all that, but it's not really still meant for everybody. Do you get? So most people still get stuck in the news and the rumor around based on what is the next good thing they should do. So they don't get to look inside of them and say, what are my gifts and all of that. So naturally, or if you want to look at it naturally, the school system, and maybe the family system and the religious system, but primarily the school system should be the place where this self-discovery should happen based on the kind of things they expose you to, the kind of activities they allow you to, dabble into, to help you to find yourself and then stabilize and move in that trajectory and that path. So, so that's what I want us to do. So why is it that our schools, or most schools, and especially the public schools, are not able to do that?
Well, although I belong to the private space, I would able to talk best when it comes to private education.
Yeah,
But
you
I
can talk
if I
about the
want to,
private
okay,
education too.
fine. Yes, because if you want to talk about the public school is actually in the hands of the government, and without prejudice to our government, you know that whatever is left in the hands of the government in court, or from our perspective, is not well managed. Now, like I mentioned, I went to a public school. When it is 12 noon, a lot of us wasn't able to stay in our classes because it's not ventilated. We only have zinc cover the class, and when sun hits our zinc, every one of us is either in one different place or the other, and the teachers also won't even be able to come to teach us. So with that, we are left to our fate. If you are privileged to have an uncle or a brother who has actually gone through school, it will guide you. But woe betide you, permit me, you are the first child and you don't have anybody to help you. You just discover that you get to the final class, SS3, and you don't really know what exactly you want to do. Now, let me start from your first question again. Quality education in private schools. Now, quality education in private school is something that can be accessed. Something that can be accessed. And when you talk about that self-discovery too, you will discover that a lot of people who play in the educational sector actually came in because they just want to make money. Let's just put these children in 4 5 classrooms with a very long cane and then whatever you can do between 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. and they are good to go. Now, vision guides everything. Like I said, I came into school system because I saw the gap that there are certain young people who are supposed to be well educated, given the right education in terms of what exactly are you made of in the course of teaching mathematics, teaching English, teaching integrated science and whatever. You are also able to talk to them that beyond just mathematics, there is something inside of you that needs expression. So we have something like a leadership, what do you call it, leadership class in the school, where you get a material. Tell them to read books on gifted hands, Benjamin Cassin. We do that a lot. In fact, we have a play. We have a department that takes care of that. Children read because I learned very early that education is bringing out what is inside of you. And one of the ways to do it beyond just teaching mathematics, integrated science, or whatever, is that you read materials that you see yourself. That is the way I discovered myself, by reading a lot of books. In the course of reading 120, 150-page books, you just saw something that looks like you. You begin to give expression to it. You begin to give expression. That is the same thing you pass on to the pupils, to the students that you're teaching. But, I remember, permit me to use this. I remember there was a time, because, for instance, when we started our school 17 years ago, one of the first major things I and my wife did was to attend training in Corona schools and all of that, of these big name schools where you pay in their millions, because we know because we started with 3,500 naira for school fees. So because when you talk about quality education, people feel that will be 3.5 million. We started with 3,500 naira, and we were picking those good things from the big name school. We run those things, and we were encouraged to read a lot of materials. I remember I read a book titled Your Baby's Mind. That is, from the age of 6 months, you must be able to understand what is in the mind of your child. Of course, somebody already wrote that book, and that helped us a great deal. Number two, I read a book by Maria Montessori. Now, when I was reading that, Maria, because of course you hear of Montessori schools and what have you, a lot cannot even distinguish between what a Montessori school, what British system of schools are. Now, when I read Maria Montessori, I was now sharing with some of the people I met in the business. One of the things one of them said, he said, "Oh my God, that you are so, you are so, what was the word I'm trying to use his exact word, that I am gifted in reading." I'm saying, what? A school owner said this? Because a lot of them don't read any materials. They just wake up in the morning, whatever curriculum or scheme the government has given them, they just come and push it back to the children. when that child doesn't know it, they keep flogging, and so there is no research on, okay, how could I help a child that is dyslexic? How do I help a child that is dyscalculia, and all of these things? So it was a whole lot of work because our vision was guiding us. So a lot of educationists got in there just because the education system was liberalized in Lagos, for instance, or in Nigeria, that any Tom, Dick, and Harry it's not really regulated. That's the word. It's not really regulated. So if you are a school start holder or you are a primary 6 leaver and you have a plot of land and you can put blocks together, everybody was jumping into it. So without serious regulation. And that was as a result of the failed system in our public school systems. Do you get what I'm saying? So I let me stop at this point if there's something you want to actually say so that I can respond to it.
So the second half time. So the second part of this, you talked about the reason why there is no education private or public, because the research is not there. They are not, the owners of schools are not really doing the work. That's what you're saying in the sense. They're not really doing the hard work of making these schools go to the deep end of doing the real reason why the vision guidance system is not there. So they are just teachers. I think they actually just leave everything literally to the teachers. The owners of the schools are not really the people that are driving the system. They just want to see how profits ends out.
I hope I can quickly respond to this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you see, the school system, school business is not different from any. Okay, sorry about that. Now, running a school is not different from running a normal business, a normal, what do you call it? Your tech business, your manufacturing business, or the big name businesses. But a lot of people just came in just like traders, permit my words, just like traders, no vision. They just got in and say, if I can have 50 children that pay me 100,000 or 50,000, that's 2.5 million. I employ 5-7 staff, I pay them this, I can go home with this. But you see, oh my God, I'm delving into a lot of things because, for instance, in my school, there was a particular time in my school that I had over 20 children on scholarship. At 20 children on scholarship, I was practically going to the street to look at children who were not in school during school hours. And I would send message to their parent, can you see me? Why is your child not in school? Why is this? Why is that? I was doing that a lot because my drive wasn't because of the money. What I see, and I say it all the time to my pupils and students, there is a beautiful lady who will come to my school and you will ask her, what exactly do you want to do? She will say, please employ me as your cleaner. There's another one who is looking exactly like her and say, I want to teach your highest grade in the school. What is the difference? What is here? So that is my drive, that when you pick a child like me whose parent didn't have anything growing up, and you can put something small inside of them, they can boldly come to talk to an Femi Manuel who has the vision to bring Nigeria to a first world nation. But if I don't have it, that education is not given, I won't be confident enough to be here. That confidence, that courage, that that ability to transform a life is what brought me into school system. And I say it all the time, I'm fascinated by nature. I see a old chick, how it becomes a cock fascinates me. The same way seeing an 18-month-old child walk into my crèche and 6 years down the line is my valedictorian. You get what I'm trying to say? All right, sorry. Okay.
So what I want to know now, so you talked about you having the private
I can't get
school.
you.
Can you hear me? Am I audible? Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Hello?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
The network.
Okay, good. So
yes, I can.
So I was talking about the private school system. So a lot of people these days still don't have access to private school, you know. So we were starting a secondary school, and we started this last term that was still on. And then we did our research. I thought, what's the average fee paid in public school? They said nothing. They pay absolutely nothing. They just pay for maybe uniform, textbooks, 5,000 naira max or project 300 naira. So okay, that is something we want to be able to work with. But we now went to private schools and said, okay, what is the minimum affordable private school? But what like our dream that you said is to be able to allow the daughter or the son of a pepper seller by the roadside to be able to go to school and not a public school system where all of these disadvantages are there. You know, the roof, the sink, the hot class, teachers are not really doing their job and all that. So we want to be able to allow the son of a mechanic to be able to access education, quality education, where they really, have a visionary owner, they have a visionary teachers, they have well taught and well researched people and all of that. So how do we make your kind of school affordable for that will not necessarily maybe you can't necessarily put all your students as scholars because otherwise you don't have any business. So how do we have a quality educational system that is also affordable for the son and daughter of a Abba hawker on the street, someone that hawks apps, and has a son and wants to be able to send that to or send him or her to a quality educational system, quality school. How can we get to that point where we can do that?
Okay.
What can we do to achieve something like that?
Okay, I will start again from the vision because vision drives everything. When I was to go into school business 17 years ago, I didn't have any dime. I was just driven by this vision that the child of an Abba Oka will be able to compete when they get to University of Lagos 15, 16 years down the line. Because the truth of the matter is, I said it when I started my school, that then private schools were not this much, that every one of us will meet at the federal or state university, whether you go to the Ivy League school or you go to a mushroom school. So I was driven by that preparation. Prepare this child from age 4. By the time the child is 16, there will not be so much difference between that child coming from the coronas of those world of the Ivy League. Permit me, I don't want to mention the names of schools. So that's kind of platform where you can create that child with confidence, because at the end of the day, 90% of them will write the same WAEC, apart from the one who will write Cambridge program, but the same WAEC, and they will be admitted to the same federal and state universities. So what do we do differently for the first 15 years of their lives? That was what drove me into school system. And like I said, it boils down to you, because you can't give what you don't have. For instance, this is Okwayemi Manuel. You've gone to school, you've been well trained. If you want to start a school today, you are going to train every child based on your knowledge, based on what you know. And somehow you want to train them, higher than you. So when I got into school system with no money, the first thing I did. Yes, I'm going there now.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah, how to make it affordable.
Yes. So what I did first of all was to look for a cheap property, cheap land based on what I had. So my dad had a small space where I was able to talk to one or two persons. Then I raised about 31,000 or thereabouts. So I built on those places. But at the point, my 31,000 could just put 2 classrooms with block walls, no roof and all of that. From there, I began to speak to people. Long and short, I was able to meet a kind brother who raised about 300,000 or 400,000 for me. And I finished the 6 room in my dad's compound, actually. It was actually attached to a fence. So we started and people saw what we were doing. So like I said, we were charging less than 6,000 naira total amount that you will pay for both uniform. The school fees was 2,300 or 3,000 naira then. So, but people saw that we had a heart, so we started that way. And of course, your that kind of money will not be able to get top-notch teachers, but the one we were able to get, we trained them. And of course, training is important. My wife was actually teaching in a school. I also was. I had actually taught, but not in a formal settings. So number one, I got a cheap land that my dad owned, and I was able to talk to people who raised money. 1 year after, we had 86 children. So that, I mean, space of 6 rooms could not hold us again. But before we started, we had actually run a free training for young lads around the community, where we had over 100 of them came to the school. And then the way we actually trained them, it was even the parent that said, you guys, the way what you taught my child in 5 weeks of holiday, that summer holiday, won't you start a school? We just printed the school bill and we gave them, So that was how I started, because we had offered something, for them before we started. So getting a cheap property, and we what's it called? We were able to, our school fees was really small. So 1 year after, we had to move to a 6-bedroom apartment. And from that 6-bedroom apartment, because of what we have done in 1 year, the news went around the community. People were actually withdrawing their children from the schools that were, the schools that were were collecting, whose school fees were higher than us. So that was why our name was just everywhere in the community. Before you know it, in 2 years, we had 300 children. Where we were was also, became too small for us. I spoke to a friend of mine whose parent had a small place around. It was a decked wall. I built another room. I put my primary school there. So we were actually expanding at that level. The community itself, of course, you must also understand the community that you are dealing with, because that was a low earning community. So with that, if you can, number one, just the reason why I keep talking about you is that if I wasn't a teacher, my wife wasn't a teacher, it wouldn't have been very easy, because you are the one who will first serve in that place. You are the one who will drive that thing. You were saying something earlier. It is the school owner that will drive the teachers. For instance, if I want to run a medical, an hospital now, I know next to nothing there. I will always listen to the medical personnel to say, sit down, stand up, this. But because I have an idea, I was taking 2 classes combined. My wife was taking about 2. Now, out of those 6 classes, we just had about 3 staff, and we were the one. In fact, my friends joined in teaching for the first 2-3 weeks. So these are the ways. That was how we actually started. So that's the way to, if you want to start, of course, it won't be too different from what I started with. But the basic thing is the person who is driving that thing. So let me stop here.
Building that's attached to the wall, you moved out of, you expanded over the years, right? Yes. So is your school still affordable till now to the son?
Oh yes. In fact, I pride in that till today. When people say, I said the number one reason why I came into school, I have not lost it. The major reason why I came into school is to give affordable, quality education to that child who will meet the son of senators in the University of Lagos or at Covenant University tomorrow. Now, the average fee we still charge for primary class is still 25,000-30,000. That is, if you convert that to whatever hard currency, it's something that is just a giveaway. So till date, in fact, I want to say this sincerely. My last SS3, all of them except one was one. Each of them was either an house help, living with a guardian. In fact, two of them, I paid their work fee first. I bought all their past questions. That's to give you an idea of the kind of people the kind of students we have till date. Even my SS3, as I tell you now, I won't mention names, but I can tell you that 70-80% of them, in fact, one of my best students, I called her into the office a few weeks ago and I asked her, what's your plan for university? She said, Mommy doesn't have a plan because she's a daughter from a single parent. Do you get what I'm saying? Mommy doesn't have a plan. Mommy has told me to start learning how to sew clothes. But I tell you, this would be one of the best minds Nigeria will have if she proceed to study. So I told her, you will write, I will give you money for JAMB. When you have your, what's it called, your admission, I will be responsible. I tell all of them like that. Please don't stop for anything. Because, in fact, some of them I say in the next 5-10 years, some of you will be the one telling us, because you are now a senator, oh, let me call my proprietor. I am conscious of that. I like one of the things that fascinated me that you mentioned, you are already seeing 30 years from now. See, if a child is born today, 30 years from now, some of us will still need to listen to that child talk. So that is the beauty about getting them from the next to nothing. In fact, let me use this analogy. I picked a child. Let me not mention the name. The child, in fact, at the age of 3 or 4, the name that child is given is one nasty name, like a street boy or something. I look for the parent and I said, Mom, please give me this boy and forget about school fees. That boy left my school in SS3. He made his WAEC. When the boy was to move from primary 6 to GS1, the mother bought me a carton of Malta Guinness and a detergent, 2 kg detergent. That was the reward. And it looks like buying me a car because I have been able to take the street out of that boy. You understand what I'm saying? I'm always very proud when I see those children whose parents said they couldn't afford it and we have given them that quality education. I remember this man too, three children. The man was actually the best of my parents, but he died. Left the 3 children to the woman who wasn't working. I went to meet the woman. I said, forget it. These 3 children will be educated in my school for free of charge. Now, when they got into secondary school, we have not started our secondary school then. I was the one who went to the school to making sure that it was properly admitted into that school. So, till date, my SS3 still pay less than 40,000 naira. You know that is affordable. That is, of course, when you now talk about affordability, it still depends on your location. If you move away down to another area, 40,000 might be a lot of money. But in the community, my place is 5-6 minute drive to the international airport, to Ikeja. You understand? So, and for that kind of school, and I tell parents all the time, it is not because of the money primarily that I came into school business. It is to see, permit me, my SS2 too, today, 60% of them is either one house help, one this, one that. I'm not saying that there are no good, high-paying parent in my school, but I can tell you that I have a lot of them whose parent, whose guardian, just want them to be in my school.
Awesome. There's a good insight there. Yeah, so as we wrap up, we're almost 45 minutes into the show. Awesome. Thanks for sharing with us. As we wrap up, so what I want to do, so for you now, it's more like a vision for you to really help these kids. I can see a lot of free. And like you said, not every owner or every owner will do this, but most will not, because they don't see it as part of their vision. They see it as no, that will fly, it's not sustainable. And I'm still wondering how you're able to sustain your profitability with all of the help that you are giving also on the side. right? I'm trying to imagine that. But let's quickly go to, is there a way we can replicate this model across all private schools? Is it a sustainable model, or what is sustainable? Like I said, what we want to take out of this session is that we want a model that works, that everybody should be practicing, that we can take a lead on and say, okay, this is the model, let's do it this way. It's sustainable, it's profitable. You might not make times 100 of your returns, but you can replicate this model and people will get affordable and quality education across all schools. Something we can replicate, because from what you have been describing so far, it's in between, right? It's more of it's more of help, right? So, but let's see how you be able to manage profitability or keep expanding, getting bigger, and all of that thing, and also helping a lot of kids still make it affordable.
Okay, that's a tricky one, but I must say that it is not only in school. A lot of the time, there are several reasons why we come into business. Several reasons. As you talk, the two names that quickly pop up is, or three names. You will have a Mother Teresa. We have a Bill Gates. Are you getting me? We have a Nelson Mandela. Now, these are people that are doing great things. I mean, that did great things, and we have a Bill Gates that is still doing. So Mother Teresa, I read a biography, and you know that she came into is it hospitality or whatever, care industry or whatever that she came in, and what she wanted to do basically is to care for the downtrodden. And then she met, according to the story, she met 7 or 9 American presidents. And then, of course, when you talk about Mother Teresa, you don't talk about somebody with fat bank accounts, but you talk about somebody who touched the lives of a lot of people. Now, the question is, an average, do I or do you, as Opeyemi Emmanuel, want to come into school business as Nelson Mandela or as Bill Gates? Do I want to collect all the 13 million naira from each student and then from 100 and I make $1 billion and I want to give back to the society? Or I want to give back to the society through what I am doing? So it's a different kettle of fish. Now, to say profitability, we're making profit, but if we don't make tomorrow, we already knew what brought us here. The reason why we want to come in here. Do you understand? Of course, there are times in the course of the day and you're like, oh, no. This is not what I bargained. I will eat now. My wife will eat and they will pay bills. But the truth is this. You must first talk to yourself that I am not coming for the hundreds of millions. But it is not everybody who has that kind of vision. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's not everybody who wants to sit with such. Somebody wants to give people affordable education, but at the same time, okay, you can have someone says, I'm creating an Ivy League schools, and when I get to this community, I want to create that affordable and quality education. So you can use this money here to take care of this money. But one of the things I want to quickly, I want to say that I plan saying is that when you are talking about affordable and quality of education, there is something you must bear in mind, that you may not make as much profit as you intend to. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. You more so your profit, even if you're now talking about profit, it must be long term. Now, the profit, are you looking at it in terms of the money or in terms of the impact you're giving? I mean, put in the life of the student. Like we have run school for 17 years. Now, if we do it for another 10 years now, I can tell you that 30, 40 of my children can come and say, Mr. Abati, I want to buy you a house in Banana Island because of what you have given. And you can have somebody who is doing it, and for 30 years, he might not even be able to afford such. So it's a different thing. But to have a template, yes. And what's the template? The thing is, from the beginning, you have already defined what you want to do. My school fees is this, and the kind of, and you might also have another side business that can be funding this. But for that one in particular, it might be another one, but you may not get that kind of money that Mark gets, Bill gets, and all of you understand what I'm trying to say. So that's my submission.
We have just 10 minutes more to go. Just 10
Okay.
minutes and I need to wrap up. So let me just open your mind now. So we've been having this conversation around this affordable and quality education thing, with the Tribearc nation thing. And one of the models, three models that we talked about is this. Let's see whether as an educationist and as a school owner, whether it will work. The first model is this. Can we have a model where, because the reason why schools are expensive, is because parents have to be the one to pay for the tuition, or maybe the school owner now has to subsidize, like I say. So there's a lot of free program giving out. You cannot afford it, all for another. So these are the two ways currently that exist. But can we have a model where the current businesses that are running, because these kids are going to graduate from this school anyway and go look for jobs or go work in companies. Can we have a system where we partner with businesses who can fund the education of kids in secondary school, who then allow who then partner with the schools to train those kids to more like in 6, 7, 8, 9 years, they can come work for them, right? In a way that, so anybody who is not able to afford education is literally does not have any limitation because there's no school fees anyway. The businesses are partnered with the secondary school to say, this secondary school are partnering with you to train us, give us 100 kids every year. That in 2 years, every 2 years, one of the leaders as 3, while they are doing the admission to university or while they're in university, you already have the skills. You guys have taught them in secondary school, the requisite skills needed for our business to thrive. So, for example, it could be a fashion manufacturing company, it could be expression, it could be wig making, it could be whatever. So, but you at secondary school you are training in academic work to pass WAEC and JAM, but you are also training them on a core skills needed by a particular business or 1 or 2, 3 businesses who are funding their school fees. And when they leave SFA, they are already working as paid apprentice for those businesses, or they are working as interns, paid interns. So in that way, their university system can even be funded because now they are earning as an intern or an apprentice for those businesses while they are going to university or going to polytechnic or even while they are looking for admission. So it means that an average young child of a mechanic or whatever, before the SSC graduation, they already have the skill needed for them to start earning. So that's one model that I've been thinking about. That is it possible? The 2 questions that I've been thinking that I want to ask you is: will the government see it as an abuse of a child or a minor? Will it work in the sense that parents will say, "Oh, we are using our children for whatever"? So that's one model. So help us critique that idea. That's one. The second model is that can we have, so a lot of people do pension, right? A lot of people currently contribute mandatory pension into the pension fund scheme. And of course, we know what the standards around pension. And if I know the fact, pension does not make sense to me because my dad contributed to pension, and right now his pension monthly is lesser than the minimum wage. You know, they are saying they want to reach that now so that pension is not going to be less than minimum wage. Because really, when they pay your pension at the 1995 that you have retired, you are earning, they promise you 20,000 and then you to be there. They're not going to increase it because inflation has taken money to devaluation as 1 naira over the years. They don't change it. It's not going to say that it doesn't make sense to leave it at what the money was many years ago. I've been earning that amount. So what I'm saying is that pension does not really make sense. So can we have a system that allows the working class right now to invest in the younger generation so that when they are older, the younger generation can then feed them? And then so right now out of your income, you are raising kids in school. So that when they are also working and you are old, you are deducting from their salary to pay. So it's not like it's you are working class investing kids who are graduated from school. They are also going to be working, they don't know who's sponsoring them, but it's just a program. It's a scheme that everybody contributes towards. And then you also are contributing and they can use that to. And of course, because they're going to be that most of us earn more than our parents right now. And I know I'm earning way more than my parents. Why? Because the current value of Naira, I'm earning at the current interest rate and the current value of Naira. But they were earning at a lower level of Naira at the time they were earning. So if a child is going to be earning 30 years from now, is way going to be earning more than I'm earning right now because we don't know what value of Naira is going to earn at the current price of what Naira is. So it's able to give me more value back in 30 years more than I can produce right now. So what do you think about these two models?
Okay.
Business funding, free education, and then of course absorbing them and paying them and all of that and giving back. So business fund education, education fund businesses. They give back. So because we need people to work in your businesses, but they need the skills required. So you fund them and they give you the skills back, or people, individuals, come into a scheme that allows you to fund them for free and then they give it back.
Well, that's a good one, but you know, there are challenges that come with you being a pioneer. If we go back to the inventions, I read the biography of Steve Jobs. Of course, convincing us to use iPad, convincing us to leave those old things is not really easy. So I'm not going to discount, I'm not going to push away that there is nothing that is impossible. It's possible, but it might be difficult, but it's doable. So because the truth of the matter is an average person wants to know what is in it for me now. Because you are saying that this child is a son of Abba Oka, who is 6 years old, and you are saying as a business, you should invest in this for the next 10, 15 years. Even the insurance, you know, you are like, an insurance company comes to you and say, life pension, or what do you, I mean, life insurance, that you should keep putting money here so that when you die, your children, you are asking yourself, you have not even eaten enough. You are talking about keeping money for my children. So an average person wants to get in it now. So I am not going to run away from the fact that businesses exist that wants to support a cause like this. Yes, just like we've seen grants. There are grants that can be for this cause. Do you understand? Like I was having a conversation with somebody who won a grant, and you know, people believe that grant is what the money you get, and that you are not returning back, and nobody's expecting you to profit. No, it is that your course that you're doing. For instance, what you have in mind, that the next 10 years you want to take a child, and then by the time is of course you mentioned something like is it child abuse or something? No, it depends on the age you start it from. Do you understand what I'm saying? And they also, I read a book by Bill Clinton. Was right talking about something close to what you mentioned. So it is doable, but the challenges that come with you being a pioneer, you must be are you willing to go to the length? Because you might start it now, I may not make sense to anybody until the next 7 years. Are you willing to stand or stay with that, stick with that for the next 7 years? It might just be one person here and there that will say, take 20,000, take 100,000, but what you need. I was listening to the wealthiest woman in Nigeria. What's her name now? Mrs. Alakija. She has a Rose Foundation or something, Rose of Sharon Foundation. And she was asked what is her biggest challenge in running this foundation. She said it's money. I just heard her and say, why? what sort of money again? So do you understand what I'm saying? Because she is absorbing so many things. So if you talk to somebody like that, it will give you an idea of what you are in for. You might be because your vision is 30 years. It might be in the next 10 years that this thing begins to make sense. So it might not make sense now, but it is doable. It is doable. The second one is can you remember? Yes, individuals. Yes, I think
which one you talked about. Is it the individual?
Yes, I think I answered the two at once. Whether business, because behind every business too, there are individuals. I represent a business, I represent an individual. You represent a business, you represent an individual. So, but well, just like I mentioned now, there are grants that when you are able to defend your cause, you can get things like this. And for individuals, like I said, when you are trying to talk to people, anybody who wants to invest into whatever it is you are doing must want to know who are the people behind this. I hope if I push in 10 million into this idea, you won't buy the latest car the next day, or you won't be using it to fund your personal idea. If I come out in the open now and I say I want 200 million, I want 500 million for a course,
We lost you again. Just hold on a bit for our viewers. It's going to chat. I think that's a bit of a network issue there.
Okay, fine.
So,
Now it's like now I've run this quality, affordable quality education for 17 years. If I come in the open now and I say that I want people to invest into what I'm doing, they will ask me a series of questions like you're asking me. And looking at my track record, oh, this guy, we can give him 100 million. But if you start today and say that's your big idea, of course there are bound to be doubts. If I come with the same idea and I come to you, even if you have all the money, you want to still ask me questions. And I say it all the time that the billionaires, they have that money not stack up for the poor. I say it humorously that the amount 50 kg cement cost about, I think, 4,200 or 4,300. If 4,300 doesn't mean a lot to Dangote, it won't bag that thing. Maybe we'll have said, okay, I want to bag the size of a house for 100 million. I don't want to sell to 4,200. If you work in Dangote cement and you take 4,200 cement out without an approval, you're already a thief. But people will ask that guy has $12 billion. Why is he arresting a guy with 4,200? So what I'm trying to say in essence is, no matter who you are talking to, they want to get to the nitty gritty. They want to be sure. Look at what's his name? What's his name? Bill Gates, and what's the name of the second guy now? What's the name of that? No, the investment guy.
Okay,
no. Oh my God. The guy who gave Warren Buffett, thank you, Warren Buffett. You will see that he's giving his money away to Bill Gates. So the question will be like, why are you giving it to him? Because he knows that he can manage certain amounts. So, but the person who is struggling with 100,000, you now say he has an idea, come and commit 20 million. My God, if he sees 20 million a lot, he might just close the company and take off. You understand? So people want to check your track record. It is doable, but what is my track record? You can now come and say, okay, these are 20 children whose parents were late or whose mom is an Abba Oka, but we have taken him from primary 1 to SS3 and he's working here, he's working here, he's working there. You know, that's like it. I know, let me tidy it up here. I know a young man who came to me. The father is a bricklayer, the mother sells the vegetable, the ewedu, and what have you. And the boy got an admission into a polytechnic in Ogun State. And he came to me with the admission and said, Dad said he doesn't have the money, that he is thinking of going to learn something. I said, how much is the whole thing? I think about 16,000 naira then. I said 16,000. And I had some money somebody just brought to me. I just opened my drawer. I just gave the guy the 16,000. I saw him pass through my window and he raised the money up with the admission letter and he was very excited. The guy finished that program, ND program, got admission into University of Lagos. He's in the UK with a family doing well now. You understand what I'm saying? So that is how to invest into people. So if tomorrow, in the next 4 years, 20 years, celebrating my school, and I say everybody that I've impacted, please come, let's talk to Bill Gates to give us 100 million. By the time this 1, 2, 3, 5 persons share their stories, you will be shocked that they will even be willing to do much more. So those two models are doable, but you must have track records, and because people want to invest into what will give them profit, even if it is not money coming back.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Any final words that you would say before we wrap up on this topic? We've learned a lot. I'm sure you have learned a lot. Great insight from Pastor Femi Abati, the owner of secondary school, primary school, is a seasoned educationist, and also a pastor, and is also
the name is the Hills Foundation School. The name of my school is the Hills Foundation.
The Hills Foundation School. The Hills Foundation School. So if you have your kids around Ikeja axis, you should definitely check out the school and send your kids there. It's affordable and quality education that you get there. We've heard all of the testimonies, we've heard all of the amazing stuff they are doing at the Hills Foundation School. So do you want to say one last word?
Yes, I want to quickly say something that I mentioned, that we moved from as a small place where my father gave me, and I moved to another place. We eventually got our own our own building. Now, how did we come about that? It's also a testimony too. Of course, I have a friend who, just like you, who listened to my story and then said, "Oh, this is what you want to do. You won't be rich." I said, well, it depends on what you now call wealth. That seeing 100, 200 children come through me and become somebody great in life, of course, it's okay. Just like I mentioned, look at a Mother Teresa, look at a Bill Gates. They are doing the same thing in different ways. Now, I mentioned to my, and God really blessed this guy. So where we were using the 6-bedroom apartment, we were giving quick notice. So, and I told myself, enough of moving from rented apartment to the other. So I was told a building was to be sold for 14 million naira. And then we had less than a million naira. Of course, we had attempted buying a 7.7 million naira property. I raised a million naira, gave the man. The man lost me so much and said, young guy doing these things, please pay as you are able to raise the money. And I was doing it, but at a point, another school came in, paid him higher money, and he apologized that he needed the money and returned my money. Of course, I felt bad. The people who gave me the money, I returned their money to them. And I just folded my hands and said, well, hoping for the best. And then this day came, this property was going for 14 million naira. And I spoke to my friend who said there's this lady who actually gave him a loan too when he wanted to start his real estate business. The woman listened to my story, this nice story that I shared, and she drove down all the way from the island. In fact, she missed her way because she has never been to this side of Lagos. And she came, she saw the building. She said, "Do I like it that my mom will be willing to give you the loan?" I said, "Why not?" And a few weeks after, we met the owner, the agent, and the woman paid the 12 million to say actually, paid 12 million and said I was going to sort the 2 million naira loan actually, and she was the one in custody of the documents that when I am able to pay back, she will what's it called, return the document. But I was able to raise money, made the place very sweet. I sent it to a friend that this is the new building that God has just given us. And when he saw it, he said, "Oh, wow, how much did you say you get it?" I told him how much. He just wired the money to the woman. And that was how we were able to get our property. And the value of that property is about 50 million naira today that we bought for 40 million. So the truth of the matter is, whatever course you are in, because you are touching the lives of people, God will always pay you back. I don't, because when you started, you said enough of prayers and fasting. I was just careful not to be a bit religious. But the truth of the matter is, you are investing into lives. There is a blessing that comes, or there are blessings that comes when we truly invest into the lives of people. So, what am I trying to say in essence is, the guy eventually paid off the money. We got all this, and that is where we are now, and we are already expanding. So I want to encourage somebody out there. You have a cause that looks like, are you a fool? Don't you want money in your life? But you know truly that you want to ensure that the son of the Abaoka, let me keep using your word, see, the son of the bread hawker on the street can afford quality education. And I like that's true, because these are the downtrodden. By the time you are able to see, it makes a lot of sense to me that a child of that woman who lives in a room and they cannot afford to see light now works with the multinationals, now can stand shoulder to shoulder with the whatever of the society. I hope you get that. Means a lot to me that you pick a boy in the gutter and you can now train that child, and the child is posing in front of Harvard to say, finally, the daughter of a street hawker can now confidently say he wants to have an handshake with the president of the United Nations. See, there is no, when you're talking about profit, that is the biggest profit in life. So that profit may not come in 5 years, may not come in 10 years, but there is no investment in life that will never, come back with its profit. If I want to stop. Yeah, thank you for
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to you on the chat box and the comment box. Thank you for creating this great work. Thank you for being here with us.
Okay, I can't see the chat box
Show,
actually. I don't know why.
Okay, in the comment section, maybe when you check the YouTube video, I'll send the link to you. The actual YouTube
Okay. Oh,
then you're going to
fantastic.
see the comments. Yes. So, awesome time with you, Pastor Femi Abati. Thanks for coming and joining us on the show. We hope that if we invite you again, we still give us the opportunity to talk to you and have this awesome time with you. Thank you. Thank you, and have a lovely evening. And everyone watching us, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching and reviewing this video. You can share with your friend. Hit the subscribe button right there to subscribe on this channel so that you can get more powerful conversations like this. This is Tribearc Nation, where we are building a new Nigeria. Thank you very much. And have a lovely weekend.
Thank you for having me.